All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
What a wild week. I think you and I talked last week. We knew this was going to be wild, but I got to just be straight up. This blew me away this week. I've not seen a week like this, and I've been doing this for 30 years. So wild week.
So wild. This is for December the 15th, 2023. I can't believe we're right in the middle of December.
Yeah.
It's Christmas next week, Christmas weekend. It kind of rolls into a weekend and extends from there. Let's get right into the show. This week, big news, CPI and PPI. What is it and what happened?
Yeah, so it started the week. We had two inflation readings. Obviously, what the Fed is trying to do is combat inflation. We peaked over 9%. They're trying to get down to 2%. Every month, we get a couple of, we really get three different inflation reports. We got two of them this week. We got CPI, which is what you and I pay at the grocery store. And we had PPI, which is producer price index, what our retailers pay their wholesalers, essentially speaking. So CPI comes in headline and core as expected. The market was calling for 3.2 and 4 on core, came in as expected. Roll over to PPI, which is again kind of a leading indicator. PPI and month on month came in at 0 for both headline and core. And then I think headline came in at like 0.9 and core came in at like 1.2 or something. So definitely the Fed is winning. You and I talked the week before about the Fed smiling about the jobs report, right? JOLTS, $600,000 miss. ADP was weak. The jobs report was strong, but not, and unemployment fell. So the Fed's winning on the job market and the Fed's winning on the inflation. Just, you know, the Fed keeps winning and winning on inflation.
This is good in that you basically said, "Hey, we're in the trough of this process where we're at. It feels like we're hitting, top kind of peak rates. We're in the bottom of it." Just real quick, it wasn't in our show notes, but talk about specifically the unemployment. Unemployment is at 3.8%, roughly.
No, 3.7, I think it hit. So again, last month it was reported at 3.9. We had 3 or 4 months of rising unemployment. Unemployment did a U-turn, came down to 3.7. We saw a higher participation rate. We saw wage growth be less strong. So again, everything the Fed could ask for, the Fed got in the jobs report.
Sounds good. You've been calling it. I love to follow your lead. Let's keep going. Let's talk about Fed Day. Explain what Fed Day means to you. I know it's a common term if people have been following the
Yeah.
show for a long time. What is it and what happened this week with the Fed?
So the Fed Day is a day where we get the interest rate decision. But if people watch our channel and watch our weekly discussions, they know that at a minimum, there are three events. And then once a quarter, there's a fourth thing that we'll call the dot plot. We'll talk about the dot plot next. But Fed Day, rate decision, pause. What we've been calling for, we got it right again. We get a statement, which is basically a collection of all 19 members in kind of a balanced approach. That was softer, a little more dovish than expected. And then we got the press conference. And this is where it was market moving. Jerome Powell said things like, "We're done raising rates." Jerome Powell said things like, we will cut rates before we hit our inflation goal of 2%. You know, Jerome Powell said, yes, we're actually talking about rate cuts, which is really interesting because 12 days before, 12 days, December 1st, he said basically we aren't even talking about rate cuts. 12 days go by, we're talking about rate cuts. And as you'll see in the dot plot, it's more than one in 2024.
Let's keep going. Let's march it down the field. Dot
So,
plot.
so
Talk about it.
the dot plot is a collection of 19 Fed presidents, typically across four metrics: inflation, rates, GDP, and jobless or unemployment. And really what you get to see in that is how the Fed lays out the next year. And if you know how to read it, you can start putting things together. For example, rate cuts. The Fed said that this is the Fed. This is not the market. This is the Fed. says they anticipate 3 rate cuts. The market thought 4, but the Fed thinks 3. But if you actually read the entire dot plot, the Fed thought they would have 4 rate cuts in 2025 and 3 rate cuts in 2026. Why is that important? Well, in my opinion, reading the dot plot, we now know with some certainty the low watermark for rates is 2 to 2.25. We're not going back to zero. Not going back to zero. That's the low watermark. So if that's true, and then you look at inflation, so right now I think they see inflation being at 3.2 for 2023, 2.6 next year, 2.4, 2.2, whatever it is. So basically they see slow inflation. However, what if they're wrong and inflation falls faster?
Yeah.
Well, what you do is you bring those rate cuts in sooner.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, if you go in and you look at CPI, so we have talked about for a year now, Ty, that the CPI inflation around shelter is horrible. It's wrong. It's backward looking. It's just a terrible collection of data. What did CPI say? CPI just said that rents went up 6.5% for shelter. Redfin, with real live data, just said rents fell 2%.
Yep.
If you just do the math on the 8.5% delta, which 6.5 plus -2 is an 8.5% spread, and you know that shelter is 33% of the calculation, you could have inflation, headline inflation, down in the low ones.
Yep.
The Fed's winning. So if you know the max rate cuts and you believe that inflation falls faster than the Fed does, you can very logically bring 4, 5 rate cuts into 2024. And that is what is happening in the market. That's why rates are collapsing, because the market is like, dude, you don't get it. Inflation's going to fall faster.
Very interesting. Very interesting times. Great to be a part of your channel. Great to be on the right on the cusp of, every week looking at this. Let's continue. Let's talk about retail sales. It's Christmas time. What's going on with retail sales and those numbers?
Man, there's a lot of doomers out there saying the death of the consumer is coming, and it's not showing up in the data. Retail sales were expected to be a negative number. They were expected to contract 1/10. They went up 3/10. So a pretty large beat. Now you could get into it, say credit card debt, buy now, pay later. It is what it is. Retail sales are stronger. I've seen some estimates about retail sales being changing in the last 30 days, going up from memory. A month ago, they were expected to be $900 a family. Now they're roughly $1,000. So job market is strong. Inflation is falling. Retail sales are strong.
Yep.
The Fed is winning.
Yeah. I got to say too, just getting out there in traffic. I mean, retail shopping centers are packed. Parking's crazy. Yes. When you're driving around your neighborhood, you see every day 2 or 3 Amazon trucks, Amazon packages on every
multiple
porch.
Deliveries. Yep.
Yeah. Wild. Very wild. Okay. Well, that's interesting. We'll talk. This isn't a talking point, but if we have time at the end, also just kind of talk about recession. Let's move on though. 30-year mortgage rates. Wow. Yeah. Talk about it. Wow is how I'll start it. Take it from there, Michael.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So this is wild. So mortgage rates as of Wednesday were 7.08, I think.
Yep.
Oh, I guess that was Tuesday. Sorry, I had my days wrong. Tuesday.
Yep. Tuesday.
Wednesday, Powell comes out, does what he does, Fed pivot, 3 rate cuts. Mortgage rates collapse to 6.82.
Yep.
That's in a day.
Right.
I just talked to Lance Lambert right before we have our discussion. Rates today, 6.62.
Yep.
I just talked to a lender earlier today who priced an FHA loan with 1.5, 5.25. I talked to another lender. You want to do an FHA streamlined refi? No appraisal, no credit check, 5.99.
Yeah.
Rates are down. Rates are down significantly.
pretty wild too. In that I want to just say that you absolutely nailed it. I feel like in the last, and again, I'm going to go 6, 8 weeks. You said, hey, we'll probably see rates with a 6 on it,
I
probably
did.
by the end of the year, by New Year's or
I
before New
did.
Year's in
12/31.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah,
12/31. Yeah.
absolutely.
We got it.
Absolutely wild.
Man, I
Wild.
got a lot of hate for that call because I called that when rates were over 8. I said, I think rates have peaked and we will
Yeah.
be sub 7 by 12/31.
Yep.
Man, I got a lot of shit for that call.
And not only that, but the momentum it was at 8 plus, and it
And
felt
going
like we were
higher.
going to 10.
Yeah.
The emotion of it felt like we were headed to
No
10, how
chance.
quick it jumped to 8.
Yeah.
So
Called it. Nailed that one. I got that one
yeah,
right.
pure logic, pure
Yeah.
data. That's why you want to be. That's if you're watching now, folks, subscribe, follow, like, comment. We've got more though. Let's finish up. Two things I want to ask you is I'm going to ask you about the recession.
Sure.
You talked a little bit this week about soft landing. CNBC surveyed, 6, 8, 12 weeks ago, everybody thought it was like an 80 plus or minus percent.
Yeah.
We were absolutely going to be in a recession. Today, or a couple days ago, you talked about potentially it's almost like 47, 41, 42% soft landing, potential no recession. What are your thoughts?
So I don't change my opinion a lot because I want to be held accountable when I'm right or wrong. So I'll stick with what I called 6 months ago. I think we will have a shallow Q1, Q2 recession. I have to tell you, 6 months ago when I made that call, I had pretty good certainty. I don't have a lot of certainty today. I'm just staying loyal to my call because I want to be held accountable if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm not extremely confident in that call, but I'll stick with it.
I like though that, and you always have said shallow, and you've also said something I've never heard anyone else say, which is rolling recession.
Yeah.
So, and it feels like certain segments, certain industries have gotten hurt over the last 18 months and even going forward. So shallow. And it's interesting that you talked about this and that a soft landing, basically that no recession, but potentially that we're just in a flat line. Is that?
Yeah. It's basically below trend growth. Positive, but nothing to write home about. Yeah.
Nothing exciting. Okay. All right. Well, let's finish strong. We're going to talk about, did the spring selling season just get started on these interest rates? And then also too, where's the opportunity, Michael?
I got to tell you, I've been thinking about this for about 48 hours. And about 48 hours ago, when the rates took that first drop, I'm like, that's pretty meaningful. That might pull a little demand off the sidelines. But when I saw the follow through on Thursday, I'm going to say it right now. The spring selling season has started. So what does that mean? I think there was a lot of marginal demand that got tired of bidding wars, got tired of losing, got tired of rates at 8% and went on the sidelines. If you are a real estate agent or a mortgage broker worth half your salt, you need to be calling those people right now saying, hey, you've got a little window. You've got 1, 2, 4 weeks before the spring selling season really starts. You might want to go look at the inventory right now. Right? Because again, mortgage rates are down 150 basis points.
Yep.
That helps affordability. And trust me, if rates are here in February and you are a first-time home buyer, you will be right back in bidding wars. Because while rates have fallen, they have not fallen enough to spark supply. This is all demand generation. This is all better affordability. So if you're a real estate agent, if you're a mortgage broker, and you are half as good as you think you are, you should be calling your buyers and saying, hey, you might want to write that offer now, not wait till January. Because if you wait till January, that's when everybody shows up, and good luck with bidding wars.
100%. Could agree with you more. I also say, even for sellers, like, you know what? Who knows what March and April is going to look like? If you like the value and the number makes sense on like I just looked at a vacant rental for a guy that potentially, that he's going to sell. This could be a good time because there's going to be a bit of an uptick, a good spark. So same there.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think. I'm going to take a really bold call and say the spring selling season started now. And let's be clear, it has never done this before. We have never had the spring selling season start in December.
Nah.
Last year, it started early in February. It usually is like late February, March. I'm calling it starting right. And how are you going to know if I'm right or wrong? You'll start to see purchase data, weekly reports on Wednesday. You'll start to watch inventory fall. You'll start to watch days on market. So we'll know in a couple of 2-3 weeks if I'm right, but I'm going to make another bold call and see what happens.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm already seeing it. I'm seeing, same thing. Lots of energy, lots of people excited about these low rates. And speaking of spring season, what would be nothing better for somebody? If you're a fan of the show, please, again, like, subscribe. By the way, spring into 2024 by joining us virtually.
Yeah.
Michael has now made the virtual event possible. That is for President's Day weekend. That is February the 17th and 18th. It's going to be streamed from Las Vegas. The event itself is actually sold out, but you can join from home for $99.
$99.
Why so cheap?
Because I asked the audience, and that's what they kind of felt, and I'm a giver. And let's be clear, the $99, I don't expect anybody to sit through 20 hours, but you will also get the video after. I just
He's giving it away, folks. He's giving it away. $99 is ridiculous. Go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
And again, on Eventbrite, what I did for you is I put the agenda up on Eventbrite. So what that will allow you to do is plan your Saturday and Sunday. Hey, I want to watch Ty. Ty's at this time. I want to watch Jason. Jason's at this time. I want to see The Uneducated Economist or Sean Cannell or any of these other amazing guest speakers. And then the ones that you don't make, because I know you have a life, you can watch on replay once the video gets loaded to Teachable.
I love it. I love it. One last plug. Tell them about the Best of ORAT. Tell them where they can go and subscribe.
Thank you for that. So one of the things that I've done, because I create 6 or 7 videos a day, is I've realized that I need to have a place where I post 1 video a day. And I'm not stopping doing what I'm doing. I love what I do. So the main channel is the main channel. But what I'm having my team do now is they're taking the best video of the week of the day and loading it on another channel called Best of ORAT. ORAT stands for One Rental at a Time. So if you want to do me a huge favor, you want to thank me by giving back, by taking a few minutes of your time, go to the channel called Best of ORAT and hit subscribe. I need 2 things. I need 1,000 subscribers, and we're about 100 away. And I need 4,000 watch hours. I already have 3,000 watch hours. I need 1,000 more. I have loaded 2-hour master classes, out-of-state investing, building a business, all there for you. So there's plenty of great content you can watch ad-free there on Best of ORAT. So do me a favor, subscribe, watch some videos. Let's get that channel monetized, and I won't ask again.
I love it. Michael, thank you for all that you give and share. We will be back on next week. So we will have another show on
Absolutely
the 22nd. Super excited for that, folks. Thank you for watching. Michael, have a great weekend. Thanks for all you sharing.
Take care, man. Thanks.